covers the Braves for the Braves Radio Network, 680 The Fan, Philly guy, Kevin McAlpin, Temple Tough, baby. What's going on, Kevin?
Guys, I got my Delco Wawa hat on here, so even though I'm in Orlando with the Braves, I'm still representing the great area of Delaware County, Pennsylvania. Good to talk to you guys.
That Wawa, I was in Clearwater about a week ago. The Wawa in Clearwater, I mean, that place was outrageous, man. They love it. It's like, you show them something new, but that place was just insane down there.
You know, it's funny trying to explain Wawa to folks in Atlanta because for some reason the good people of Wawa come down the East Coast and they stop in Georgia and then pick back up in Florida. So I'm trying to lobby them to get a couple in Atlanta, preferably on the north side of town where I am. But it's funny trying to describe it to folks who have never been. I mean, they'll just try to tell you it's a gas station where you get a sandwich at. It's just so much more than that, guys.
It is. And all right, we all know that. All right, Kevin covers the Braves. This is a team that, perennially has been one of the better teams. We were just looking at the Phillies, too. 5 straight years have not won, more than 81 games. Teams consistently seems like they have gone downhill. They finally took a step up last year. Are the Braves ready to be last year's Phillies? Are they ready to kind of take that next jump?
I think they are, and the reason I say that is, you look at the rotation the Braves ran out there the last couple of years. It was the youngest in baseball, and it wasn't even close. You had guys like Matt Whistler, Aaron Blair, Tyrell Jenkins. They were thrown into situations that by necessity the Braves needed starting pitching. So I think when you look at what they did this offseason, they go out, they bring in Bartolo Colon, they add R.A. Dickey. Jaime Garcia has looked really sharp here during spring training. They've added some veterans into the mix, and I think that's not only going to help the rotation, but it's going to pay off for the bullpen as well. They won't be as taxed as early on. So I do expect this team to take a step forward this year. I think you look at what the offense did down the stretch since they added Matt Kemp into the mix. They really took it to another level, and then now you add Brandon Phillips in there as well. It's a longer, deeper lineup than Atlanta's seen the last couple of years, so I think those are 2 big keys why this team should be a lot more competitive than it has been the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, Kevin, what do you think about them adding guys like Dickey and Colon and getting some of these veteran guys? The Phillies have tried to do it the last couple of years, with Hellickson, and most people think, it's to try to spin them off. Is that the thinking in Atlanta?
Well, I think that's part of it. I think the other part of it, too, is if you look at the Braves farm system, there's so much depth, especially with young pitching, but this gives them the luxury to not rush these guys along, to give them more time to develop in the minor leagues. So there's a couple of guys that are close that are knocking on the door that could be ready at some point in the second half of this year, and you could be able to move a Bartolo Colon or an R.A. Dickey and maybe get a minor league prospect back in return. But I think the big thing is these are guys that are pitching and still doing so at a very effective rate in their 40s. I think that the Braves wanted these younger pitchers to see these as examples of, hey, how do I get to that point in my career? So I think it serves a couple of different purposes. But, again, the biggest one of all is not having to rush these young starters along like they did the last couple of years.
Kevin McAlpin with us talking Braves baseball, and Freddie Freeman, everybody knows that's a name that people moves the needle. People around baseball know that name. What can you tell us about Dansby Swanson and maybe how his star is on the rise?
Well, he's going to be a superstar in this town for a long, long time. I mean, this guy's got it all. I mean, he's a smart young man. He handled the jump to the big leagues about as well as anybody could have, projected last season. This is a guy that was the number 1 pick in the draft a couple of years ago, flew right through the Braves minor league system, and he got a chance to spend the better part of the last 2 months of the season in Atlanta last year. So, I think that, when you see what he did on the field, first and foremost, he caught the ball. He made the plays defensively, and that's all you really wanted to see from him. The Braves didn't want to put any expectations or any extra pressure on him that, we want to see you, hit this or do this. He's going to move up in the order this year, and it's going to be very interesting to see him where we saw him in the 8th spot last year. We're going to see him hit 2nd this year behind Ender Inciarte ahead of Freddie Freeman. So that's going to be a very interesting move for him. It's something that he's used to from his days at Vanderbilt, hitting at the top of the order, and he did it in the minor leagues as well. So I'm excited to see how he handles that transition, moving up and hitting right in front of Freddie Freeman. So Braves fans should be really excited about the development we've seen from Swanson. And like I said, he's an exciting young player, but he's a good young kid as well. So I've been really impressed with getting to know him over the last year.
Now, Kevin, you mentioned Ender Inciarte. He was a Rule 5 guy from the Phillies, and the Phillies just kind of let him go. Is that turning out to be a mistake? Is he kind of the guy that makes that lineup go?
Well, he certainly was when you looked at what he did last year. I mean, this guy goes to the top of the order. He hit over 300 in that spot. He wins the Gold Glove. He did a really nice job, and it was unfortunate for Ender because he starts the season off. He plays 2 or 3 games and has a hamstring injury that sidelines him for a month. But the Braves feel really good about him. They're really high on Ender Inciarte, so much so they gave him a 5-year contract extension this offseason to keep him in Atlanta. So it was interesting to see that the Phillies didn't keep him a couple of years ago. I don't know that maybe anyone could have projected that he would, take that jump up as quickly as he did. But I think there's some folks in Atlanta that still think that, we haven't seen the best of Ender Inciarte yet. Defensively, you know what you're going to get. I mean, this is he's probably, he reminds me a lot of Andrelton Simmons with his presence and with his baseball IQ, the things you can't teach defensively. But offensively, I think this guy's going to continue to get better. So I know the Braves were really thrilled to be able to lock him up and keep him as the table setter in this rotation, in this lineup for a long time going forward.
Kevin, there are a lot of interesting veterans on this team that, quite frankly, isn't projected to be very good. Matt Kemp, Freeman, who we talked about, Brandon Phillips, Nick Markakis. Can this team surprise people, though?
You know what? It all starts with the pitching. If they can pitch, I think that you could see a similar situation to what we saw from the Miami Marlins last year, where you get to September 1, they're maybe 5, 6, 7 games out of that second wild card spot, but they're playing meaningful games in the month of September. And that's something that Brave fans haven't seen for a number of years. They're not used to that. So I think if you get this team to be close to an 80-win team that's, again, still playing games that matter in September, I think the fans in Atlanta should be really encouraged about that as a step forward as you go, obviously opening a new stadium this year. You see the revenue that those kinds of projects can generate and how teams can spend more money the following offseason. I think if you can make the jump from a 68-win team to right around 80, and you're talking about a team that's a 500 ball club that has money to spend next offseason, that would really bode well, and I think that would really boost a lot of the confidence in the Braves fans that have dealt with a couple of really tough rebuilding years.
I had the opportunity to watch a baseball game last season with Ricky Batalico, and I think it was against the Mets. Maybe Syndergaard was lighting it up 3 digits, and this guy played in the bigs. He turns to me and says, "Man, people don't understand 3 digits on a gun. I mean, that gets me excited." And I played the game. There's a guy on the Braves roster, Mauricio Cabrera, who has great potential like that, specifically his fastball. But is he going to develop into something legitimate, or will he continue to be this big tease?
Well, I think he's still a work in progress. Mo is a guy that we saw it a couple times this spring. We saw, I believe it was 103, and we might have seen a 104 on the gun. Now, spring training radar guns, I don't know if they're 100% accurate, but, I mean, still, when you're seeing 103, 104 popping up there, that gets the crowd oohing and ahhing. The big thing with Cabrera, with a lot of these younger pitchers that are fireballers like that, is command, and he's still not a finished product yet. So he made the jump from Double-A to the big leagues last year, and, again, I think that you'll see him continue to hone, his command this season, but that's really been the big knock on him, and that even goes back to the minors. This guy can throw it 100 miles an hour, but sometimes he doesn't necessarily know where it's going to go. So he's still not a finished product yet by any means. But when you talk about him in the back of the pen with guys like Jim Johnson and Arodys Vizcaíno who can be upper 90s, and then you've got a couple of lefties in there, and guys like Ian Kroll and Eric O'Flaherty, who has been a resurgence this spring. I mean, this is a guy who looks like the 2011 Eric O'Flaherty, who was just, lights out when you put him in a ball game. So, again, I think that there's reason to believe that this Braves bullpen that was asked to do a lot the last couple of years can even be better this season. And again, that all goes back to the starting pitching.
All right, Kevin McAlpin covers the Braves, 680 The Fan, and the Braves Radio Network. He joined us here on the Sports Bash to take a look at this Atlanta team. Who's better this year, Philly or Atlanta?
You know what? I'm going to go with Atlanta, and just because I've seen a lot more of them. I'll be honest. I do think the Phillies have added some nice pieces this offseason, but I think Kendrick, it'll be interesting to see how he fits in the mold there in that lineup. But I think right now, if you had to have me put it in my prediction, I would probably slot the Braves a little bit higher than the Phillies right now.
All right. It all starts next week, and Kevin McAlpin here on the Bash to look at the Atlanta Braves. Thanks, pal.
Guys, thanks for having me. Have a good one.